Hello, and once again, welcome back to yet another edition of Qsports on QTV with me, Pakaba Suso, and Mr. Ade Drame. It's another Saturday, and you know what that means. It's just talking sports. And in this edition, we will be talking about the first ever two-day National Athletes Forum, which ended, which is very, very, very important. It's a defining moment in the country's history. We will talk about that, inshallah, and also we will also talk about the AFCON, the 2025 AFCON. We have reached the quarterfinal stages, and in fact, some nations have are booked out, and some nations have progressed to the semi-finals. We will talk about that. And also we will look at the prospects and the possibilities of this 2025 AFCON currently ongoing in Morocco. As I said, I'm in the company of the one and only and experienced Mr. Ade in the program.
Pleasure as always, and I have to thank you for the fact that you keep inviting me back. It must be that I didn't do so badly last week.
Oh yes, you always
Thank
do
you.
perfect.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's always good to share this important platform with you. All right, we'll look at first and foremost the first ever two-day National Athletes Forum, which ended, marking a defining moment for the country's sports governance journey. The event was organized by the newly created Athletes Commission under the Gambian National Olympic Committee. Let's hear the report by Aliou Cisse, and then we come back and discuss about this.
The historic gathering brought together athletes from various sporting disciplines to directly engage with stakeholders, coaches and managers of sports federations, government and stakeholders. It created a platform for open dialogue on athletes' rights and responsibilities and the roles of key institutions in shaping a more inclusive and accountable sports system in the Gambia. Among the notable attendees were athlete Gina Bass, Maud Lamin Drame, a former Gambian sprinter, who competed in the men's 4x400 meters relay at the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta, USA, and also the only Gambian to date to have touched the original Olympics touch. And Adama Jame, Gambian national record holder of the 200 meters Olympian and a commission member of the Athletes Commission.
So down here it tells you every country that ever held the Olympics until 1996. So it doesn't have my name on it, probably it's at the bottom right here. But this is where the flame, the actual Olympic flame, was up here. And once you pass the flame to somebody else, they have to turn it off. So this is my piece of treasure. I would like to present it someday to the Gambia. It's not for me, because I carried it in the name of the Gambia. So I want to present it. I tried my best. Nobody's coming for it here. So hopefully somebody will come for it one day. Hopefully.
It has been long overdue that us as athletes have been missing out. Missing out doesn't mean that we have not been participating, but our voice have not been heard. And now is the time for the journey to start. We have learned a lot. We have heard a lot. Now is the time for the action.
There were several panel sessions focused on critical issues such as athlete health, anti-doping and safeguarding athletes' rights, responsibilities and representation. Mariama Sis, representing the Gambia Volleyball Federation, said key lessons she gained from the forum.
The platform is very important because I've learned so many things that I've not known before, that I did not know before, like when it comes to the minister's aspect, the commissioner's aspect, and also GNOC with NSC as well. So I think these are some of the platforms that us as athletes will be needing every now and then, so that we can clear our doubts towards the sport that we are doing.
Mahmoud El Jawla, Acting Executive Director, National Sports Council, reaffirmed his office's readiness to work closely with all stakeholders to translate discussions into actionable reforms.
During the course of these 2 days, the topics that have been treated by the panelists are very key to the development of athletes. They are key in the sense that once we hold those values, once we follow those teachings, it is going to help us to promote our sports to another level.
As the forum comes to an end, it is hoped that the commitment made will be translated into tangible actions contributing to the growth of sports in the Gambia.
All right, that was it by Aliou Cisse. Interesting story, Mr. Adi. I mean, the first thing that grabbed my attention is the fact this is the first time we are having such an event.
It grabbed my attention too when we came to do the story. And, you know, a lot of times we hear people saying, oh, this is the first time ever. Yeah. But I then did some checking. And yes, it is the first time ever. And I thought, you know, surely there's been a mistake. But no. And, you know, we frequently hear people saying, we frequently hear people saying, oh, it's long overdue. And one of the speakers said that. And it is long overdue. Because when you look at what they covered such a wide range of things that are important to an athlete. You know, representation, you know, do you need an agent? Can you get an agent? Doping, you know, all sorts of things. And it was really quite wide ranging. And as we heard there, you heard stars and, you know, up and coming people were all there. So it's quite, you know, broad in the kind of range of people who attended and the topics they covered. And I was quite impressed. But being impressed with talking is not the same as seeing all this talk being put into action. Where do we go from here? Will there be another? And will there be follow-ups? And do they have short, medium, and long-term goals in terms of, you know, what they would like, you know, athletes to know? But I think it was really great that they did it.
And how about athletes' health? That aspect of it?
That came up. I mean, they told them about, you know, diet. You know, if you're serious about being an athlete, you know, forget about your domoda and your benechin and thing. Sometimes there are sacrifices that you have to make, and some of those sacrifices include your diet, things that you should consume, and also things to avoid consuming because they could trigger a negative result in you. So they told them all about that. And, you know, as I said, I watched because they uploaded the full sort of videos of the discussions and the panel discussions on Facebook, on the GNOC page. And I watched it, and I was quite impressed at the range of topics that were covered.
And what do you think is going to be the impact of this two-day gathering?
I've kind of hinted at it. The impact has to be that we carry on the momentum that has been started. You know, this is the first ever. So did they, at the end of it, which is what I wasn't sure of when I watched the videos, did they come up with a set of recommendations?
Sort of,
you know, recommendations about how we take this forward, about how we follow up on it. And not, you know, because every time you go to these conferences, there's a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of excitement at the end of it. But, you know, how do you build on that excitement and capitalize on it so that the athletes get to benefit, you know? Were there athletes there who said, oh, you know, I've learned something here today and I'm going to do this, this and that, you know? So that really will be, you know, as they said, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You know, what happens now, what happens next? That's what we're concerned about. Maybe we will call them in and we'll ask them those questions, you know, or either on This Morning or on the news to say, okay, we like what we heard, but, you know, where do we go from here?
And you feel a sense of lack of support, you know, from the athletes, from the key institutions that's supposed to help and do a proper sports governing.
Yeah, I mean, and all of that came up in the discussions, because one of the things that I've been banging on about is that, you know, athletes shouldn't just be looking to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And so they talked to them about, you know, and they kind of examined themselves and even criticized themselves in terms of, you know, we need to reach out in terms of getting sponsorship, you know, reach out to the big corporate entities, private sector, get them to sponsor sporting events, individuals, whatever. You know, we've seen Gina Bass, you know, QCell, and the sponsorship that package that, you know, they did with her. Other athletes can get that kind of support, and that is what is needed. And all of that was touched on there, and I'm glad that they did, because it, you know, for many athletes, it's a case of, you know, I just want to get up and run. If I'm a runner, I want to get up and box. I want to do, you know, judo, karate, and so on. But there's more to it than that, you know. For you to be at your best, all the supporting things, all the kind of supporting infrastructure needs to be there. You need to have good diet, you need to have a good trainer, we need to be able to train regularly. All of those things, and all of those things were covered at this event.
And more importantly, also building that foundation for the future athletes.
Well, this is it, you know, and I'm glad that we had somebody who competed in the 1996 Olympics, and we also had Jane Abbas, who's been, you know, she recently had a baby, so she's not competed recently. But these are people who were there, and it was good because they are inspirational figures. And, you know, somebody sitting in that audience would say, oh, maybe I can go and compete in the Olympics. Because, you know, the Olympics, unlike the likes of the Commonwealth Games, where, you know, the kind of bar you have to jump over in terms of qualification is much higher at the Olympics than it is at the Commonwealth Games. So they can say that, oh, you know, there are Gambians who have, and who are now, all of them who've been in the Olympic Games can describe themselves as an Olympian. And all of those people in the audience, the younger ones, must be able to say, yeah, I want to be an Olympian one day.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to take to hear from you with regards to the original Olympic torch. You know, the veteran, if you like, you know, make mention of it and how proud he feels and how happy he feels. I mean, what can you, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, and in fact, when the Olympics were held in London, you know, and I was there, you know, I was working for the BBC at the time, and my God, the security that is around the person who holds the torch, it's like a head of state, you know, because they don't want anybody to kind of upset you and so on. So it's a big deal, you know, so somebody who has held the torch. Yeah, you know, that person, we need to celebrate them because very few people get to hold the torch. And he held the torch. And
this is the original one? The original Olympic torch?
No, I mean, over years, what they do is they do replicas, of it. Okay. So, yeah, there's a replica and, you know, the whole kind of modern Olympic Games that we know, of course, you know, the original inspiration are the Greeks who, you know, used to hold these types of games, and then they kind of Baron de Coubertin decided to modernize it 1896, I think it was, into what the Olympic Games that we know now. But in terms of the torch, yes, he must be, and he's rightly proud. So the replica torch that he has been given, as he says he wants to present it, maybe somebody can arrange for him to present it to the president because he wants to present it to the Gambia. Because as he said, he competed for the Gambia. Everything he did at that Games in 1996 was on behalf of the Gambia. He didn't go there as an individual. And so he wants to give back to his country as a kind of thanks.
And finally, on this, we understand that the event was organized by the newly created Athletes Commission under the Gambian National Olympic Committee. The newly created Athlete Commission. How important is that commission?
Well, you know, when I read and I heard that, I thought, oh, so they've really started off on a good footing by organizing something like this. Something that had never been done in the country. You've organized it and you brought a whole range of people, not just the athletes, because we keep talking, you know, it's about the athletes, but when you saw and you heard the people who gave presentations about doping, about getting an agent, about diet and so on, they really had, you know, put a lot of thought into it. So if this is how they start, then, you know, they've already set themselves quite a high bar in terms of, you know, what we expect from them. And as I said, I think we have to call them in and question them and say, you know, what are your plans for the future?
Interesting, and of course, what a good start. What a good start.
They've started well.
And even more so with regards to the rights and responsibilities of athletes. I think that one is really, really important.
It's a big thing because, you know, as I keep saying, a lot of athletes, all they know about is competing. But there's more to just competing. You know, how do I register for a competition? What are the rules and regulations that I need to follow so that I can register for a competition? No matter what the competition is, it could be local, it could be international, you know, whatever. There are rules, there are regulations, and they tried to introduce all of that to them. And we heard from the lady there that she learned quite a lot from it.
We hope it will continue to be positive, not just for the athletes, but also for the development of sports and for sports infrastructures in the Gambia. We now shift our attention to the Africa Cup of Nations. Currently ongoing in Morocco, the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, and Mr. Ade did a fantastic piece with regards to the quarterfinals fixtures and our expectations. Let's take a listen and we will come back.
In the first match in the round of 16, Senegal booked their quarterfinal place with a 3-1 victory over Sudan after getting over the shock of conceding a 6th-minute goal. 2 first-half goals by Pape Gueye and a 77th-minute strike by Ibrahim Mbaye were enough to see them through. Of the 8 teams still in it, Mali, coached by former Gambia head coach Tom Samphier, are the only side never to have won the AFCON. And they reached the quarterfinals by dispatching previous winners Tunisia on penalties after the match had finished 1-1 after extra time. Host Morocco, the pre-tournament favourites, had Brahim Diaz to thank after a titanic struggle against Tanzania. It was enough to see them through. His 64th minute strike means he has scored in all 4 matches at this tournament. The 4th match of this round pitted former winners Cameroon and South Africa against each other. The 2-1 scoreline suggests a close match, but it was anything but that. Cameroon were deserved winners, having scored twice in the first half to secure the victory. Record AFCON winners Egypt had one of the toughest matches. Their 3-1 victory over Benin was a real struggle, and they were only able to pull away with extra-time goals from Yasser Ibrahim and Mohamed Salah. Nigeria's Super Eagles had probably the easiest match in this round, romping away 4-0 winners over a Mozambique side that offered little or no resistance. Yet another of the close matches saw Algeria triumph 1-0 against DR Congo, with Bulbina's goal scored with 30 seconds left before they would have had to go to penalties. Up to that point, it seemed impossible to predict a winner from this match. The last game was predicted to be one of the toughest, as it pitted fierce rivals and neighbours Côte d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso against each other. In the event, it was a routine win for Côte d'Ivoire, the defending champions who got through with a thoroughly deserved 3-0 victory. With the conclusion of that exciting round of matches, there's lots to look forward to in the quarterfinals as the remaining teams vie to be the champions of Africa. So, what can we expect from Senegal, Mali, Morocco, Cameroon, Egypt, Nigeria, Algeria and Côte d'Ivoire? An all-West Africa clash gets us off and running as Mali take on Senegal on Friday the 9th of January in Tangier. That day's late game sees Cameroon face off against host Morocco in Rabat. The action continues on Saturday the 10th of January as Algeria take on arguably the tournament's most impressive team so far, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, in Marrakesh. Saturday's late kickoff and the final game of the quarterfinals promises to be a cracker as AFCON record winners Egypt take on defending champions Côte d'Ivoire at the Adrar Stadium in Agadir. As yet, no one dares predict who will make it through to the semi-final and the final. However, based on what's gone on before, there should be some exciting games to come and very much to look forward to. For QTV News, I am Ade Darami.
Interesting piece there with regards to the round of 16 AFCON fixtures and results. Interesting piece there. As I said, we looked back, of course, with regards to the round of 16 results. Interesting fixtures, and also we look forward to the quarterfinal fixtures, and we had interesting fixtures, games played yesterday as Senegal beat Mali by a goal to nil thanks to Iliman Ndiaye's own goal, lone goal. That was enough to to help Senegal seal their place in the semi-finals. And of course the hosts, Morocco, beat the indomitable Lions of Cameroon by 2-0 convincingly.
Yes.
Mr. Ade.
There were lots of lions yesterday.
Yeah.
So
and there's a line in your report which said, what can we expect from these teams? I think this is the answer to it.
And that was the answer. So, as I said, lots of lions. We have the Lions of Teranga, of course, and the only all West Africa clash, which was Mali against Senegal. And it was a curious one because Mali, Yves Bissouma, the captain, was sent off with less than a minute to go in added on time in the first half. And that kind of made it, But Iliman Njai had already scored in the 27th minute.
Yeah.
A really well-worked goal.
Yeah.
And really, I think
It might look easy, but the build-up to the goal was something.
Build-up was superb. Was superb, and Njai was involved in that as well.
Yeah.
You know, and but Mali under Tom Samphier, who we know well, have been a very stubborn team. And
in what way, like?
You know, for opponents to break down.
Yeah.
You know, and it proved no different. Even though they were down to 10 men for the whole of the second half, they still had some goal-scoring chances. And Senegal could not, you know, improve on that 1-0 scoreline. But it was enough to see them through. And Senegal, we keep saying, very, very good squad, because you saw some of the players who were, you know, introduced as substitutes to make sure people got a game. And you think, wow.
And even in the last 16, Iliman Njai did not even play.
Yeah, quite. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, he did not play.
That's
and in the quarterfinals against Mali yesterday, he started and he scored. So it just shows the depth and the quality of their squad.
They've got one of the strongest. Them and Morocco, for me, and Nigeria on paper seem to have, you know, amongst the strongest squads. So yeah, it was a thoroughly deserved win. But it would have been interesting to see if it had been 11 against 11 all. But you know, Bissouma had already been booked, and then a really rash and unnecessary challenge in the center circle led to him being sent off.
And it's very sad. He is the leader of the team, the captain. He should lead by example.
Yeah, and that was a bad example, because it really meant his team had to struggle. And of course, you know, Senegal could pass the ball around, really stretch them, and you could see Mali getting tired towards the end of the 90 minutes. But, you know, no embarrassment for them. You know, they put up a good fight. But yeah, as I said, it would have been good to see 11 against 11 in that game, right all the way to the 90th minute.
And what do you make of their overall performance in the AFCON?
Senegal or
no, I mean Mali.
Mali?
Yeah,
as I said, a stubborn team in the sense that, you know, they're not kind of explosive in terms of goal scoring and so on. Very well organized, again, by Tom Samphier. Something we knew when he was Gambia coach, to be honest. He's good at organization.
Defensive approach.
And defensive. And you saw that even the midfielders knew that they had defensive duties in all their games. And so they were able to, you know, fall back and defend and defend very well. But yeah, I mean, I gather somebody was telling me, you know, this morning that there's been sort of criticism of him, but, you know, he wasn't the one who told Bissouma to get sent off. So I'm not sure what they're criticizing.
They had a man down against Tunis. And it's the same thing.
And it's still same,
So who takes that responsibility, do you think? Is it the coach or is it the players?
I think it's a mixture of the two. I mean, it's one of the things that has always been a hallmark of Cameroon, for example. You know, they've always lived up to their names pretty much. No matter who's there, you leave the pitch at the end of a game against Cameroon and you know you've been in a match. And it's the same with Mali. All their opponents knew that, look, we didn't just roll over these guys, you know, and so it's a spirit that, you know, the coach can kind of infuse in them, and also the players have embraced it, you know, that they want to perform and they're ready to, you know, as they say in football, die for the shirt. So yeah, it's a mixture of you know, the coach and the players who they buy into the concept. Because if you're a good coach, what you do is you make do with the players you have at your disposal. You can't keep wishing I had Lionel Messi or I had Cristiano Ronaldo. You don't have that person. So who do you have? And that's what I always used to support Tom Samphier. At the time he was Gambia coach, he used the players that he had. Getting qualified for 2 successive AFCONs was not a fluke. You know, and we've seen he's not here and we haven't qualified. So yeah, those who wanted to see the back of him, I hope they're happy. But you know, there are times when you can't be gung-ho, like Nigeria right now. I mean, they've got one of the most explosive and expressive sides. And that's their strength, because you have 6-7 players who are really good attacking players. And Mali, they don't have that, but they make do with what they have, and it's taken them all the way to, you know, the quarterfinals. But no further.
Yeah. think they did their best, definitely.
They did their best.
And Tom also managed the team to its strength
its potential.
Yeah, definitely. It's not very bad. I think quarterfinals is not very bad.
It's not bad.
And it's remarkable how even they survived that game against Tunisia.
The Tunisia game was just crazy because they had really no right to take that one to penalties, but they did.
And I was thinking like maybe the juju is working.
It didn't work against Senegal.
And how about the Teranga Lions? For Senegal, they have booked their place to the semi-finals.
They booked their place. I think it's the least anybody would have expected of them, because you and I know that before a ball was kicked, there were maybe 4 teams that people had kind of said would be up there or there and thereabouts.
They should be.
You had Morocco, you had Senegal, you had Ivory Coast, and Nigeria. I mean, these are teams who people expected to be there or thereabouts. So yeah, Senegal up there with those teams, and deservedly so. But yeah,
anything less than semi-final would have been a failure for Senegal.
Would have been a failure. And the interesting thing about Nigeria being included in this is that people look at the fact that Nigeria didn't qualify for the World Cup.
For the World Cup, yeah.
And I said kind of half jokingly that because they didn't, for them this is their World Cup. They want to win this AFCON very badly.
Yeah, to make up for the World Cup.
To make up for that disappointment I know they've appealed against DR Congo, but I suspect that appeal might fail to get into the playoffs for the World Cup. But yeah, they look a really good side. Yeah.
All right, and let's now talk about the late kickoff last night. Morocco, the hosts, against the very, 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 very stubborn and strong Cameroon side, the indomitable Lions.
So you had
and interestingly, Mr. Adi, before the game and even after the game, I was reading about the history between these two nations. And interestingly, it seems history has always favored the indomitable Lions.
Well, this is it until yesterday.
Until yesterday,
and it was interesting. I was watching it on Cameroon TV, and I was very disappointed when I heard the commentator, one of the co-commentators, say, Cameroon have won this trophy 5 times. Perhaps it's time they allowed Morocco to win it once. And I thought, but Morocco were champions in 1976.
Yeah.
And this is one of the commentators.
Yeah, it's very sharp.
You didn't do your research.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's not like it's a secret. Everybody knows they won it in 1976. But
I think it's been nearly 50 years.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah, since they have last won it.
Since they last won it. And so, they're throwing everything in it. And for them, the disappointment is that in 1980, the team that went to the World Cup was a fantastic team, and everybody thought that team would win AFCON. Well, they didn't. And for many Moroccan fans who have known the team over the years, everybody raves about the team that got to the last World Cup and did so well. But for many people, that 1980 team is the team. Yeah, they're a fantastic team. They were a fantastic team. But yeah, this time, indomitable Lions kind of met the Atlas Lions, and the Atlas Lions triumphed. Brahim Diaz scored yet again. I mean, when the header came in, everybody thought it was El Kabi's goal. But then you realize that he nudged it over the line with his thigh. And so 5 games.
Yeah, and without that contact, maybe it might
not have gone in. It might not have gone in, absolutely right. So that made it 5 games and 5 goals for Brahim Diaz, a player who could have played for Spain. He was born in Spain. But he chose to represent, and if people are honest, when he first said he'd like to play for Morocco, some Moroccan fans were not that thrilled. But I think none of them are complaining now.
No.
5 games, 5 goals.
He's been their key player.
He's been the key man when others have been rested or not. Think about it. First couple of games, both El Kabi and Nesri were on the bench. And everybody's like, does the coach know what he's doing? He evidently does, because now they're through to the semi-finals. And they will meet the winner of the Algeria-Nigeria match. But Morocco, I think, yesterday, if you watched the beginning, when the national anthem was being sung by everybody even if you were not Moroccan, it kind of made the hair rise at the back of your neck.
Definitely. And I think it really helps them too.
Very much
Yeah.
so. Very
the home
much
support,
carry
the
them.
fans, the supporters.
Yeah.
It was massive. And it is not just about the results, but it is also about the performance, how they did it. I mean, they really, really, really were up for it.
I thought Cameroon were really going to give them a hard time. It proved not to be the case.
Yeah, because I was surprised with the level of intensity. The host,
intensity is the
yeah,
word,
yeah.
and they really were. And intensity is something that Cameroon always bring to every game.
Yeah.
But yesterday they were matched and surpassed by a team that was equally intense. Because I think for Morocco, they knew that we cannot fall at this stage, not in a tournament that we are hosting. You know, absolutely not. You know, so that of course drove them on. You know, and again, deserved winners.
Deserved winners.
Yeah.
Right. And Mr. Ade, for Cameroon, they had their problems even before the AFCON. What do you make of the end for the Indomitable Lions and for especially for Samuel Eto'o, who have been in the headlines for probably the wrong reasons?
Yeah, you and I were discussing before we came on air that I saw a video that been posted by Fecafoot on their official Facebook channel. People can go and watch it. It's also on their YouTube channel. And it was Samuel Eto'o consoling the players after the match. I mean, some of them were in tears. They were very upset at the fact that they'd lost. But the players like him. And, you know, you're right. They came into the tournament with a kind of lot of confusion. 2 separate squads were announced. You know, coach announced one. Eto'o announced another, and there's been this fight, but it didn't seem to have affected them on the pitch. And yesterday, they just met a superior side, really, in Morocco. So it didn't seem to affect them, but it will be interesting to see where they go from here, because you can't keep having these kind of divisive things in the background. And maybe we'll come on to Nigeria later, because, you know, they have also been threatening not to play, which would be extraordinary. Because they said the bonuses promised by government have not been delivered.
Again.
Yeah,
Yet
again. It's an age-old story in African sports, particularly in football. You know, government says, oh, for qualifying, you'll get this bonus, that bonus, and then the bonus doesn't arrive. They hope that just the pride of playing for your country will be. But, you know, don't promise them the bonus, then they're not expecting it, you know. But
that's the right thing
it's not the first time we've been here.
You cannot promise what you cannot fulfill.
Well, you can't deliver.
Definitely. It's insane. And finally, how about Brian Bomu's AFCON performance? You think, like, where would he has not scored any goal?
He hasn't scored a goal, but he played quite well. I saw in the game yesterday.
Yeah.
He was probably...
He almost won a penalty for the Indomitable.
Well, that's right. And maybe it should have been a penalty. But he has been one of their brightest players, I think. So in spite of the fact that he didn't score, he was, the way he was played out on the wing for much of yesterday's game, he was trying to create chances for others. And you know, for Manchester United fans,
and he was up against
we're glad to
his
see him
colleague,
back. Yeah, of course, in the
Mazraoui.
previous Mazraoui
At Manchester United.
that's right. You know, yes, quite.
I mean, what a player, Mazraoui.
Oh my
He's
God.
a very, very good player.
Honestly,
I mean, he's not given. He's always like underrated for me. That guy is good.
Very much underrated, because, you know, some of the ways he was breaking up tackles and then not just breaking them up, but then distributing the ball very well. It was very impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Let's now talk about today's other quarterfinal fixtures. Big game. Nigeria, the Super Eagles up against Algeria. What a game. I mean, what a game.
It's, you know, on current form, I would take Nigeria, because when I did the report that we heard and saw, I deliberately didn't predict anybody, not because I wanted to sit on the fence, just because I felt that every game would be tough. And because the last 16 had proved so, apart from Nigeria who kind of cruised through against Mozambique. And so this game, you know, I will stick my neck out and say, on current form, I would expect Nigeria to win it. But, you know, football can make us all look like fools when you know, an expected result doesn't, like, you know, in the FA Cup, Wrexham beating Nottingham Forest, for example, last night.
It's insane.
England.
You can never know.
You can never tell.
You can never tell.
Yeah.
But they have been really impressive, Nigeria.
They really have.
Their attacking power It's insane.
From everywhere, you know. Yes, you have the forwards who can turn it on, but also you got people from the midfield who can contribute goals, and also there's creativity. You know, people like Alex Iwobi and so on. So
I think that's a player who has really improved this season.
Yeah,
Alex Iwobi.
He really has.
Yes, it is passing with his vision and the way he dictates the game.
Well, that's right. I mean, you know, I know that Trusk Ekong retired before this tournament, but I bet he's watching now and saying, I wish I'd gone to this AFCON, you know, because his disappointment was the fact that he didn't make it to the World Cup. You know, but I saw him, he's now playing in Saudi Arabia, of course, and playing really well. But yeah, I mean, really good attacking side.
Right.
And they just attack you from you know, Lukman, you've got Osimhen. I mean, really good, really good side.
We saw something that really draws the attention of a lot of Nigerian fans. Little disagreement, if you like, between Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman. What do you make of that?
Look, these things can happen in a football team. If people are old enough, maybe you're not old enough, I'm old enough to remember at Manchester United, you had Cole. You know, Andy Cole, and the guy from Tottenham who joined us from Tottenham. Sheringham. They weren't even on speaking terms. Yeah, and they both admitted as much, you know, and it all apparently stemmed from one particular incident in one game. And they ended up, you know, not passing to each other sometimes, and you know, they never quite came to blows, but they nearly did. And so it can happen. It can happen. I mean, we saw.
And normally, if it happens, it does not affect the performance of the team in most cases.
It tends not to.
In terms of like maybe the unity of the team, the cohesion of the team.
I mean, you know, we've seen Everton had a man sent off against Man United, you know, for fighting his own player, and they still won the match.
And I remember I remember Ruben Amorim praising that because he said it's normal.
Passion.
Yeah, it's passion. It just shows you care.
It shows you care, and so you know, depending on what the disagreement is, if you're a good coach, you say to them, look, you know what, forget your egos. Everything you do is in the interest of the team, not as an individual and so on. So put it aside and sacrifice for the team. So yeah, it happens.
It's normal. You know, and I hope it will not affect the team.
I certainly
against
hope it will.
Algeria, hopefully. And let's talk about the Algerians. Riyad Mahrez, this might be his last AFCON. In fact, he said it could.
I think he's hinted at that already. And so because of that, he would obviously want to go out on a high. For them, there's all sorts of motivations as to why they want to win this game. They have a fierce rivalry with Morocco, both politically and sporting-wise. And so they would love to face Morocco in a semi-final and beat them in Morocco. So that, for them, is a driver. But as you also say, you've got people like Riyad Mahrez, who this is very, very likely his last AFCON. And so he would want to go out on a high. But, you know, as we say, he's also facing a Nigerian team that's very, very strong. But yeah, I mean, for Algeria, Morocco, no love lost between them. You know, it's kind of Gambia, Senegal times 10, really, in terms of the rivalry, both politically and sporting-wise. So for them, the prize at the end of it, which would be a semi-final against Morocco in Morocco, is probably what will drive them. And that motivation is something that Nigeria needs to be cognizant of and say, this is what we have to deal with, because we talked about intensity, we talked about passion. Trust me, the intensity you'll see from Algeria in this game, knowing what is at stake if they win, it will be like nothing we've seen so far.
Wow. And Mr. Ade, based on the quality of these two teams, what kind of game are you expecting? Is it going to be a tight game? Is it going to be a game that is going to produce a lot of goals?
When you talk about the attacking threat of Nigeria, it comes with the expectation of goals. And because of that, we would expect goals. And your question actually makes me go back on the thing we said very, very much at the beginning, not even of this program, but about how good the football has been. I mean, I've watched AFCON for as long as we say in Sierra Leone, as long as I've had sense. And this is the most exciting in terms of the quality of football that's been you know, on display. And so in this game, yes, I would expect goals. But you know, as I said, football has a habit of kind of making you eat your words. It'll probably end up 0-0. Arsenal, Liverpool. The other day, we expected goals. It ended 0-0. So football is very difficult to predict, particularly when two evenly matched teams come again. They can end up nullifying each other's strengths, and then you know end up being a 18-17 on penalties or something. Well, but I would expect there to be goals in this particular game.
All right, the late kickoff today: Egypt, Ivory Coast.
Hey,
Egypt, Ivory Coast, the Pharaohs.
It's, you know, the Pharaohs against the Elephants, is it?
Yeah, the Elephants.
You know, record champions against defending champions.
Defending champions.
Mo Salah, definitely his last AFCON, you'd have to say. Again, motivation for him as to why he would rather go on a high. He'd also want to go out on a high because of what has happened at his club side at Liverpool. You know, all the kind of disagreements just before he left for AFCON. He's come here and he's had a decent AFCON so far. Played well, scored, pardon me, in the last game. And he'll be looking forward to this. But Ivory Coast, I've been quietly impressed with as well.
Lean more to them?
Pardon me?
I mean, you are leaning more?
Yeah, I mean, before a ball was kicked, I wouldn't have said I was, but their performances since the tournament kicked off, I've been really impressed. And I think Egypt will find them a very, very tough nut to crack. And if I will predict, I try and stay away from predictions, as I said, not because I want to sit on the fence, but just because, you know, you meet teams. I would expect, I would tip Ivory Coast to triumph in this game. They'll probably, I hope none of the Egyptians are watching and say, oh, we'll show that Ade Darame in the Gambia that he's talking nonsense.
Yeah, like, you know, these North African teams, they have a way of playing, you know, they are intense and they are very mature in the way they play. I told someone yesterday, I said, if, for instance, Morocco, if they score first, Cameroon will struggle. They will find it really hard. And I think that same thing could apply in this game. Do you think so?
It could, but I think the thing that will drive Ivory Coast is that, you know, they've gone to this without people like Sebastian Haller and other stars, and they will say, we are the defending champions. We are not going to let go of the trophy lightly. You have to come and snatch it from our hands and that's what's been driving them in almost all their games. They play with a certain amount of intensity, a great deal of skill, one has to say.
Definitely, especially with their two forwards, Ahmad Diallo and Yan Diomande.
Exactly.
Exciting young players.
Very, very much so. And they've not really looked in trouble in any game that I've seen in this particular tournament. And I think because of that, yes, you know, but, you know, you don't win AFCON by being disorganized. And the fact that they are the defending champions tells you quite a lot about them. And so Egypt will know they've been in a game. But I expect it to be a tough game and possibly a close game. I don't expect one team to run away with it. If they did, I would be surprised if either team kind of ran away with 3-4-0 score line. I think that would be a shocker. I expect it to be quite a close game.
And what do you make of Kessie, I mean, the Ivorian captain? I think he is very, 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 very instrumental for them. He has been the leader in this team.
A proper captain.
Yeah, proper captain.
Proper leader. And we remember his goal celebrations where he would go to and salute. And he has very much kind of seized the mantle of leadership. And he wears it very lightly. He's not burdened by it. You know, some people, you make them captain and it becomes the kind of, you know, thing that kind of drags them down. But with him, he's completely at ease with being the captain, and the players respect him, and you can see that. But yeah, you know, an excellent player.
Excellent player. All right, that should be an interesting game. Algeria and, of course, the defending champions, Ivory Coast.
Egypt.
Yeah, sorry.
Egypt and
Ivory Coast. Thank you very much. And finally, we know that Senegal are already in the semi-finals. They would face either Egypt.
That's right.
Or Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast. That's right.
Any of these is without a doubt going to be a hectic
So
game for Senegal.
I, being biased, I would love to have yet another West African derby, Senegal versus Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
Others might be, want kind of Mo Salah versus Sadio Mane. Again, but yeah, I'd love it if we had, because I think the last AFCON had a record number of West African teams qualify.
Yeah, and I like that. If we can have Senegal and Africa, we have Algeria and Morocco.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. That's right. So you have a North African derby and a West African derby. And that
would be something else.
But otherwise, you're going to end up with, I don't know, 3 African West African teams, because if Nigeria get through, Ivory Coast get through, then Senegal are already through. So
that should be interesting. Well, viewers, this is all we have got time for, Mr. Ade. It's been a pleasure, of course.
It's been a pleasure, and the time seems to go fast, very because I thought maybe we had more time, but obviously not. But I'm very much looking forward to today's games and to the semi-finals, let's hope the standard and the quality is maintained.
Yeah, and what do you make of the fanfare? Because there is one DR Congo fan, something like the guy that stands like a statue.
I was going to I actually downloaded a video, but didn't have time to discuss it because his iconic celebration,
exactly. that iconic,
like he does. In fact, it's not a he stands like that,
like a statue, sort of.
Like a statue. And so in was it Algeria game, where one of the Algeria players mocked him. After he scored, he went and did that facing the guy. And that created something of a diplomatic storm. So the video I downloaded was a response from the Algerian Federation saying, look, we don't like the fact that we're being accused of racism, because when Patrice Lumumba was executed, Moïse Chombe, the man accused of being complicit in his murder, they said we were the ones who arrested him and made sure that he was brought to trial. So and they said we even have a street in the center of our capital which is called what? Patrice Lumumba Avenue. They said, so don't tell us about we're being racist. This is just one footballer who doesn't know his history. And they end by saying, in terms of the history books on anti-racism, we helped to write it. So I actually downloaded that video.
I think that is really important to put across.
They wanted to put across, and yes, it's one footballer being stupid. People tried to impute, oh, these Arabs, they don't like us from sub-Saharan Africa, and all sorts of things. But they forget about the struggle. They forget about Algeria. They forget about Tunisia and how they supported us in our independence struggle in the way that we supported them in theirs.
All right, and finally, Mr. Ade, it has come to my notice that some Gambians are really not following the AFCON, because the Gambia the interest is not as massive as it was when Gambia was playing in the Africa Cup of Nations, simply because the Gambia is not there.
Well, some of them are following it because they hope to see Senegal lose. I have to be honest.
And it begs the question, Mr. Ade, some of the teams that qualified in this AFCON, with the performances they have shown, it only shows that it in fact increased the disappointment that we could not have, we could not qualify with the players we have, with the quality we have.
It's true. I mean, when you look at who's there and who did get there, Tanzania, Comoros, these are teams that really, they're not that much better than us.
Tanzania.
But when you look at also, it's kind of, football is weird because as you're saying, Nigeria have not made it to the World Cup, and yet they're one of the most impressive teams in this AFCON. And it's the same players. So why could they not bring that performance, that level of performance to so it's true. But look, you can only qualify from the group that you find yourselves in, and if you don't qualify, you don't qualify. The teams who are there, like me, I'm celebrating Cape Verde in the World Cup, but honestly, I don't think they'll even win a match in the World Cup, much as I love them.
And it reminds me that famous question from Mourinho. What is more important? Is it the way you play or to win a football match.
The victory.
I
That's
think,
right.
I mean, we are more fixated to like way of playing and sort of, I think it really hampers our qualification as far as I'm concerned. It's about the results. It's about winning and qualifying.
And that's why Tom Sampier ended up leaving, because even if we won tight game 1-0,
Yeah.
oh, you parked the bus, you did this, you did that. And so he got fed up of hearing it, you know, and obviously that's why, and of course Mali were offering more money as well. But yeah.
As a Gambian, you feel sad about it.
We have to make up our minds. Do we want to play good football and not qualify? Or just play pragmatic results-getting football and qualify for these tournaments, and maybe you get that you can express yourself, because we've seen teams in this AFCON who have expressed themselves. You and I have been talking about Nigeria all the time, both on and off air. That's a team that's gone there and expressed themselves because they have the players right now, and that is the tragedy for Gambia. Right now, we've got a set of players who really could have gone to this AFCON and not be disgraced.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah. That's
and I hope we qualify for the next AFCON. I mean, we also heard that it's going to like
they're changing the calendar. I think we'll have to do a program about that, because they're changing the calendar of the AFCONs and the frequency of them, and kind of to fit in with the kind of more international.
Yeah, from 2 years to 4 years.
For 4 years, yeah.
I mean, that's massive. 4 years.
Huge, yeah. It's like the World Cup is every 4 years. Yeah,
that is insane. I mean,
yeah.
It's crazy. Mr. Adi, that's all we have time for in this edition of Qsports. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program, and of course learn and enjoy your insightful thoughts on sports in general. Viewers, this is all we have time for until next Saturday, same time, same place. Pakaba Suso and Adi Drame saying bye-bye.
Bye.